Welcome back to the Fever Dream with your host, Eli, the computer guy. So I'm happy to say the office hours went well yesterday. So we have this tech coaching. This is a new thing that we're offering. So basically between 1 to 5 Eastern time on Mondays, you can get on a Zoom meeting with me and ask questions about technology and your career and that type of thing. We had four people sign up for it and do it yesterday, and I have to say it went pretty well. I think it went pretty well. Gave some people some career advice, gave a person some coding advice, and explained to somebody else what they should do about some DNS settings. So all the way around, that's exactly the kind of thing that I want to do with the office hours. So I'm happy to say office hours went well. So Silicon Dojo, if you're interested in the office hours, silicondojo.com. Again, you basically get on for 30 minutes with questions. It's not chit chat. It's not chit chat. Bring your questions. We sit down. We have a conversation. And it went well. The topic that I want to talk about today, though, is another question that I got from somebody, and I find it to be very fascinating. Not the question itself. I still don't understand the question itself, if I gotta be honest with you. But the concept of the question I found to be fascinating. So anyways, I had somebody ping me and they were like, Eli, is the OSI model still irrelevant? And I basically responded, I don't understand the question. What do you mean, is the OSI model still relevant? I use the OSI model damn near every day, quite literally. Whenever I'm troubleshooting my IoT projects, I'm basically using the OSI model. And so again, I'm not a boomer. I'm not a boomer, but the question a Gen Xer always has to ask themselves, am I being boomer? And so basically, I was thinking about it. I was like, crap, I don't know. Is there a new model out there? Again, the OSI model, God knows, was created 40 or 50 years at this point. And so, like with virtual networking, and again, the kind of like the virtual network stacks that they have now. Maybe the OSI model, maybe there's a new iteration of something like the OSI model, and that's come out, and I just don't realize because I'm acting like a boomer today. Because basically, when you look at networking, so they're I guess that you call them like mental model. They're models for how network communication is supposed to function. So there's something called the TCP/IP model, which is 4 layers, and there's something called the OSI model, which is 7 layers. Military and government, for some reason, likes the TCP/IP model. I learned and I like the OSI model. And basically, the idea is it breaks down all of the components of network communication between systems into different layers. Those layers, more or less, horseshoes and hand grenades, correspond to actual components or things within your technology stack. And so the idea is you can very quickly narrow down to where you think the layer problem is, and then you ask yourself in your stack what deals with that layer, and then you go and you fix that thing, right? So in the OSI model, there's 7 layers. The physical layer is layer 1, data link layer is the switch layer, basically layer 2. You have the network layer, TCP/IP layer is layer 3, transport layer is 4, session layer is 5. Presentation layer is 6, and then the 7th layer, the display layer or whatever. Again, I don't have to take tests anymore. To be clear, I don't have to take tests anymore. I just have to fix crap. I have to make crap work. Anyways, 7 layers. I'm usually dealing with the lower layers. And anyways, there's a presentation layer and the 7th layer. Anyways, and so basically that's the thing. So like when I sit there and I'm trying to figure out the problem with one of my little robots or whatever, and it's not, for some reason, the network communication isn't working properly. It's like okay, what do I think the problem is here? Is the problem that it's like the network cable is unplugged, or the network adapter is disabled, or whatever? That's a layer 1 issue. Is this TCP/IP? Did I fuck up the default gateway? Am I sure DNS and all that kind of stuff is resolving how it's supposed to, and that's a layer 3 issue. Sessions. So a lot of the products that we use, so sessions are the individuals, like whenever one computer communicates with another computer, that opens up a session. And there's session variables, and there's all kinds of stuff that goes on with that session. So you can have problems with things like session timeouts. So especially with IoT devices, when they're communicating back and forth, you don't want the session to be open forever because then it could get hacked, but you don't want the session to be so short that it loses the variable values, or you can have ports. So a lot of times with products, they'll only allow so many sessions to be open at once. So you can get this, like I used to get this problem, basically a denial of service attack within companies because people are stupid, where they would have a product, that product would only allow four concurrent sessions. Basically, people would open up sessions on computers. Those computers would then go into sleep mode. The session is now still on, but even though nobody's using those computers, and now all of a sudden nobody can connect to their servers. All right, so anyway, this is all the crap of the OSI model. And then again, like I said, there's a TCP/IP model. I don't like it as much just because it's 4 layers. I find 7 layers to be useful because I just run through those layers and go, where do I think the problem is? Do I think the problem is in the web browser? Web browser is blocking JavaScript components, or do I think it's whatever, right? So I could go through all this. And so, but the thing is, OSI model, again, created, God knows, 50 years ago at this point. So there's theoretically the concept that something has come out that's better than the OSI model. I'm just acting like a boomer because I learned the OSI model 25 years ago. Ergo, I keep using the OSI model. So anyways, so I'm talking with this person, I'm going back and forth with this person saying, I don't understand what you mean. Like, I don't even understand the question. Is the OSI model still relevant? I literally use it truly damn near every day. What are we talking about here? What are we talking about here? And what I found was fascinating is this person was like, well, I got crap for, so they're like a teacher. They're professional. They're a tech professional, and they teach. And they put a post out talking about the OSI model. And some other professional was giving them crap for some reason because this other tech professional doesn't like the OSI model for some reason. Again, I'm still lost. Still, how do you not like the OSI model? It just is. Just is. TCP/IP4 is crap. We're still using it. I don't know what to tell you. Anyways, so this other tech professional gave them crap for teaching the OSI model because apparently you shouldn't teach the OSI model anymore. And anyways, and so it became this interesting question of this. So the person is pinging me and they're like, Eli, is the OSI model still relevant? And again, I use it every day, so I'm like, I don't understand what we're talking about. Why wouldn't it be relevant? And it's like, oh, because some other jackass on the internet says the OSI model's stupid. And it's like, well then, that's a whole different issue. And I think this is an important thing to be thinking about, especially for noobs. Because again, the person that contacted me is not a noob. They actually are a professional. Anyways, and so they're bringing up this question. And I think this is an important thing to be thinking about for you in a professional capacity. The whole question of what is relevant and what isn't relevant. What is obsolete and what isn't obsolete. And the fact of the matter is, again, nowadays, everybody wants to flap their gums. Everybody wants to talk. Nobody wants to listen. Nobody wants to listen, right? And again, in the social media world, everybody wants to put their opinion out there. And so one of the big issues that you're going to run into is a lot of people are going to give you stupid opinions. Again, it's very fascinating. I have a friend of mine who does COBOL development. Does very well in COBOL development. Right? Anyways, I would go to meetups and I would see JavaScript developers start giving him crap for developing in COBOL. This person had more clients than he knew what the fuck to do with. Speaking at conferences, getting invited to go out to places, more clients than they knew what to do with. All the work they could possibly do, more work than they could possibly do, doing very well. And then you have some crappy-ass JavaScript developer who's basically building websites, telling them how COBOL is obsolete. And it's like, well, the funny thing about that, the check still clears. the check still clears, right? And I think this is something for you to be considering when you go out there and you're listening to people, and people are giving you their opinions about how whatever you're doing is crap or it's obsolete or whatever else. I think one of the big things to consider is whether or not they're full of crap. Now, again, we all have to ask ourselves. We all have to ask ourselves: Are we being boomer? Are we being boomer? So when somebody gives you crap, whether it's about the OSI model, whether it's about COBOL, whether about whatever the hell it is that you're doing, there is the point to take a beat, take a breath in, take a breath out, and ask yourself: Are you doing things because of inertia, or are you doing things because they have a purpose? Again, as I say with the OSI model being relevant for me, I use it every day because, again, I got these robots. Again, my little robots, a robot that's sitting over there, right? When that thing's running, it's got a full compute stack on it. It's got a 4 gigahertz, 32 gig of RAM, computer sitting on it. Again, it's doing Python, it's doing OpenCV, it's making API calls out to the internet and the whole 9 yards. When that thing starts acting flaky, I have to figure out, hopefully in relatively short order, what the hell's being flaky, narrow down to the actual thing that's causing the problem, and then fix that. All right. So for me, I use the OSI model every day. So if you say, Eli, is the OSI model, obsolete or whatever, what I'm going to think of is, do I actually use the OSI model? Yes, I actually use the OSI model. Eli, well, what about the TCP/IP model? Again, it's 4 layers. So I find that it's not as refined as the OSI model. Ergo, it's not as useful as the OSI model. So I'm not telling you what to do, but I'm going to use the OSI model. The next question to come through your head is, well, maybe there's something better than the OSI model. So there's the OSI model and the TCP/IP model. Those are the options. I don't use the TCP/IP model because I think the OSI model is more refined. Is there something else? Is there the OSI model v2? And so you go out and you take a look. Is there the OSI model v2? I haven't found it yet. Ergo, there's not an option that way. So I'm using the OSI model every day. The option that I know exists, I have discounted because I know it doesn't actually work for me. So OSI model is the best solution for how I troubleshoot problems. There has not been a new version that's come out that supersedes what I'm currently using. Ergo, is the OSI model obsolete? No, it's not obsolete, because I still use it every day. And so I think that's one of the things to consider and to think about when you're building projects and when you're doing things and people hit you with this idea with whatever you're doing is stupid or crappy or whatever else. Run through the process and ask yourself why you're doing what you're doing. Now, again, there are some times you're doing things because of inertia, right? I used to be an Outlook fanboy. Again, I got my MCSE in 2000. I remember when Outlook was the schnitzel. I remember ActiveSync. Remember ActiveSync? ActiveSync allowed your server to synchronize with your mobile device. My Motorola Q. I had a Motorola Q. It was my favorite phone ever with ActiveSync on it. Right? And so that's the thing. I loved Outlook. I loved ActiveSync. I loved Motorola Q. Again, as time went by, my employees didn't know what the hell I was talking about. They really liked Gmail. And so I had to come to that question. Is Outlook in 2010, is Outlook still the schnitzel? Or am I just going off of inertia? I realized I was going off of inertia, therefore went over to Gmail for a while, right? And that's the kind of thing to think about. Like when people give you crap, run through the process of thinking about why you do what you're doing, and then go from there. And then you can figure out what the answer is for yourself. Don't look to other people to answer whether or not the OSI model is obsolete. Look to yourself to ask whether or not the OSI model is still irrelevant for whatever it is that you're doing. So anyways, I found that to be a curious question. I found it to be a curious question because of the weird ass rabbit hole it went down. Again, like the whole thing, like with the OSI, I was like, okay, maybe there's a new version of the OSI model I just haven't heard about. And no, it wasn't that. It was just some cybersecurity jackass who was talking out their ass on the internet. Oh my God. Do you mean a cybersecurity professional was talking out their ass on Twitter? No, Eli. Anyways, that is true. Be careful. Again, as I say, don't do as I say, don't do as I do. Just listen to the things that I say, and then, if it makes sense, if it comports with your worldview, figure out how to mesh this into your life. Anyways, I think I find that to be funny on the internet. Again, especially technology professionals. I know I give Node developers a lot of crap because they deserve it. Because they deserve it. Node developers are assholes. I'm just gonna be the one to say it. If you want to call yourself a node developer, you are not born a node developer. You decide to be a node developer. And again, like one of the fascinating things that I have dealt with so many technology professionals over the year. Again, Active Directory people and telephony people and network people, coding people. And again, I think one of the fascinating, the only chunk of the technology world I have an issue with. It used to be Ruby on Rails developers. Ruby on Rails developers, they were asses, but nobody cares about Ruby on Rails anymore. Now it's Node developers. And there's the weirdest thing about Node developers. I develop a Node. Your technology is crap. And it's just like, if you want to develop a Node, fine, but I do find that to be a fascinating thing. Again, and it's like it's one of the curious things that I find with the younger generations, and it's weird how old the younger generations are getting. Like when I think about the younger generations, I think about talking about like 25-year-olds. But now the younger generations are like 40-year-olds. I mean, the millennials are like 40. Millennials are 40. Anyways, one of the things I find fascinating though, like with a lot of the technology professionals, is how so much of their ego is wrapped up in their career. Again, like I say, for me, the things that I'm proud about hiking the Himalayas. I'm proud about going on going on the road for a year and the travel trailer with my wife. Proud about a lot of things. Technology is just a job. Technology is just. You're not gonna make me feel bad. You might make me feel stupid. Oh, I feel stupid. I feel stupid so many times a day. You will make me feel stupid. I'm not gonna feel bad about my job though. This is a job. I happen to be good at it, right? The world seems to be a better place when I'm doing my thing, but this is just work to me, right? I don't have an emotional interest in this, right? I don't care. TCP/IP4, TCP/IP6. Just tell me what the hell we're configuring. Go on from there. But anyways, one of the things that I find fascinating, again, like I say with the younger folks nowadays, is like so much of their lives are wrapped up in like technology or their job being the core of who they are, being the core of their ego, right? And again, think about this. I'm not even being snarky, right? They don't have God. They don't have religion. They don't have family. They don't have community. They don't have institution. A lot of these young people, like literally, what do they have? What do they have outside of their work? Again, you want to talk about depressing? You want to talk about depressing? Can you imagine remote workers out in little condos in suburban hell? Again, people think about like remote workers, and it's like, I'm going to be in a cabin on the mountains and hiking and skiing and drinking good beer. Or I'm going to be in a condo in the middle of New York or whatever. Like when you think about like things like remote workers, like there's this idea. And then there's a reality for a lot of these fuckers. Right? You're 45 minutes outside of a city in a crappy ass little suburban condo or townhouse with nothing but a goddamn Walmart and a Chick-fil-A around you. And in that environment, with no family, no religion, no community, no real connection to society, and you don't even have connection to work anymore. You don't even have the camaraderie of hating your boss together. You can't even get together at the water cooler to vent about your stupid boss. You're just in that sick, nasty ass little environment, right? And so again, think about that world. Think about when the only goddamn thing you have is your programming language. God, that's depressing. I don't feel snarky about the younger generations. I just feel bad for them. Wow, your whole claim to fame, your entire ego is what language you code in. But anyways, the important thing to think about with this though is when you have people, their entire ego is around this, they're gonna act batty, they're gonna act weird, right? Because people want to be important. People need to be needed. They need to be vital. And these people ain't parents, and these people ain't spouses, and these people ain't church leaders, and these people ain't part of their community. Nobody gives a fuck if they exist. If their entire condo block burned to the ground with them inside, would anybody even know their name? Right? And so they're on the internet, tippy tap typing with their little JavaScript skills. And they will tear into people, and they will tear into people, and they will thump their chest, and they will try to make you look stupid. Because by God, if they can't make you look like a moron, well, are they going to be able to confront the reality of their lives? And that's why you get a lot of weird stuff on the internet. Because yeah, it's weird. It's weird how emotionally invested people are in products. It's just a product. Python is a product. Node is a product. C# is a product. These are all just products. It's nothing to get that stressed over. So anyways, think about that with yourself. If somebody confronts you, if somebody gets in your face and tells you your thing is obsolete, I don't know. Have pity on them. Have pity on them. Pat them on the head. Buy them a beer or something. Buy them a cup of coffee. Maybe they'll do good for their mental health. So I don't know. That was a bit of a ramble. I did my 9-mile run this morning. I'm kind of feeling it. I went on a little bit of a new route, a little more hills in the new route. Anyways, got to do 15 miles next week. I did a 14-mile run last week. I was going to do a 15-mile run yesterday, but it was like 96% humidity. I'm just not doing a 15-mile run at 90% humidity, 95% humidity. So anyways, I did my 9-mile run today. We're going to do a resolution run tomorrow. If you're looking for good ways to keep yourself from, making bad life choices, you can do things like resolution runs. So my wife and I, this is like our 4th resolution run. So here in Asheville, they have a run on New Year's morning. And so she's going to do 3 miles, and I'm going to just do 6 miles. And it's the perfect excuse to not get plastered on New Year's. So we're going to a party tonight. We're going to a party. Every New Year's, we go to a friend's party, and we get there, and they're like, hey, you want a drink? And we go like, oh, we'd love to, but we got the race in the morning. And then everybody's all serious. Like, oh yeah, well, you got a race in the morning. It's great. I think that's one of the big things with becoming an adult is finding acceptable excuses to not do the things you don't really want to do. Like, I don't really want to drink. I actually haven't had a drink in like 2 months. Has it been that long? Almost 2 months. Basically stopped drinking. I just kind of got tired of it. I'm not anti-beer. I love alcohol. I love beer. It doesn't work for me. I've talked about this before. It screws with my sleep. Anyways, stopped drinking about 2 months ago. Not really even stopped drinking. It's kind of weird because like a lot of times you say, I stopped drinking. It's not really that I stopped drinking. The last drink that I had was about 2 months ago. And I really don't want to drink anymore. I just really don't. But that's the thing. It's like when you don't drink, people are like, oh, you don't drink. So you're like, fuck. Like you got to find an excuse. You got to find a reason. Like you can't just be like, I don't want a beer. Hey, let's have a beer. I would not like a beer today. Like you've got to have a reason. So the thing that I found is like training for the marathon. Hopefully I'll do the marathon in the summer and doing like these runs and these races. It's like the perfect excuse. People are like, hey, you want a beer? And you go, oh, I'd love to have a beer, but I got a race in the morning. And everyone's like, oh, okay, yeah, you better not drink. It's like, wow. That's an excuse people actually accept. It's like you go in and people are like, hey, you want a beer? It's like, I'm trying to lose some weight. They'll be like, oh, well, one beer won't do you, bet wrong. I'm like, fuck. Right? You're like, hey, you want a beer? It's like, it kind of screws with my sleep. It's like, cool. Well, we're not going to sleep tonight anyway, right? Like you go in, you're like, no, right? You try to use all these reasons why you don't want to drink, and people will shut you down. You go and be like, I'm running a race in the morning. People are like, oh, okay. Humans are weird. Humans are very weird creatures. But anyways, it's kind of like TCP/IP4. Humans are weird. Humans are weird. But they're what we've got. They're what we've got. So we got to deal with them. Anyways. So I guess that's about all I got to say. Doing some more videos today. So we did 5 more videos for the Python series yesterday. So 12 modules of the 43 modules have been done. Hopefully we'll get another 5 or so modules done today. So there'll be 18 modules of the 43 modules done. And I don't know, maybe next week. All the modules will be done. We'll see. So anyways, if you want to do office hours, I do the office hours on Mondays. Or if you want just general questions, again, little questions such as, is the OSI model obsolete? No, I still use it. We have forum. If you go to forum, open up forum. If you go to forum, we have questions and answers here. So you can also just ask a question there. And if it's a normal question, like whatever, I'll try to answer it there. And if it's a longer question, maybe I'll answer it in these kind of videos. But that also exists. So silicondojo.com. Go take a look at it if you want to. Or don't. See y'all later.